You click a link to read an article, start scrolling, and immediately the screen dims. A massive email capture form takes over your phone, blocking every word you actually wanted to read. Users despise this experience. Surveys show 62% of people view these aggressive pop-ups as a major annoyance, and for many, a single intrusive overlay permanently damages their trust in that brand. Regulators have noticed too. The Federal Trade Commission explicitly targets deceptive checkboxes and subscription traps hidden within these banners, enforcing strict penalties against what they call dark patterns. Google goes even further. They actively penalize websites that use intrusive mobile interstitials, destroying the search rankings of pages that block their main content immediately upon loading. Users hate them, the government regulates them, and search engines penalize them. Yet these massive email capture walls are multiplying everywhere you look. They are spreading because they solve a desperate, hidden crisis for the websites you visit. The explosion of these pop-ups traces back to the quiet execution of the third-party cookie. For decades, third-party cookies acted as an invisible tracking infrastructure. They quietly followed your clicks, purchases, and reading habits across completely unrelated websites, building a silent profile of your behavior. Then, strict global privacy laws forced tech platforms to dismantle that system. The default state of the internet shifted, effectively closing the window on anonymous, untracked web browsing. Without that invisible tracking network feeding them data, businesses lost their line of sight. To survive, websites now have to convince you to manually hand over your identity the moment you arrive. The email pop-up functions as the direct, brute force replacement for the third-party cookie. The extraction of your data has not stopped. It has simply been forced out into the open. An email address has evolved into a universal digital identifier, functioning far beyond its original role as a tool for communication. This visualization breaks down lifetime value, or LTV. By multiplying the average revenue a single subscriber generates by their total lifespan on the list, you get the exact monetary worth of that individual. Take a niche newsletter dedicated entirely to Jackie Chan movies. By tracking LTV, the creator knows a single subscriber brings in exactly $11.35 over 42 months. What looks like pennies scales quickly. A list of 100,000 fans becomes $1 million digital asset. On a macroeconomic scale, the incentives are staggering. Email marketing routinely reports a return on investment around 3,600%, meaning $36 comes back for every $1 spent on acquisition. Location drives that value even higher. Industry data estimates that capturing a single email address from a user based in the UK is explicitly worth £36.64 to a business. Companies are perfectly willing to risk irritating you or taking a hit in search rankings. They aren't trying to send you spam. They are executing highly calculated acquisitions of valuable digital real estate. To extract that value without triggering Google's mobile penalties, marketers rely on a sophisticated layer of behavioral engineering. This chart plots time on page against conversion rates to show how timing directly controls signups. If a pop-up fires instantly, it gets penalized by Google and users close it. But waiting exactly 6 to 10 seconds bypasses the search penalty and hits the absolute peak conversion rate, catching you right as you settle into the content. They also swap out boring static forms for gamified micro-experiences. Offering a spin-to-win wheel or a scratch card triggers a sense of active participation, creating an engagement spike of up to 400% compared to a standard email box. If you try to leave, the software tracks your mouse movement. The exact millisecond your cursor breaks the top plane of the browser to close the tab, an exit intent pop-up fires, capturing emails from over 17% of fleeing visitors. Once they have your email, they use progressive profiling. Instead of demanding a dozen details upfront, they ask for one piece of demographic data per interaction, slowly building a comprehensive profile over weeks and months without ever causing friction. Strict privacy laws were meant to protect consumers. In practice, they forced crude, early pop-ups to evolve into irresistible, hyper-optimized psychological traps. Securing the email address is only the first step of the extraction. Once a company captures that text string, they quietly connect all your devices in the background. Many platforms now deploy passwordless authentication, using tools like magic links to tie your mobile browsing habits directly to your desktop profile. Tapping a link in an email signals the server to recognize your device immediately. The platform bypasses the login screen and verifies your session, syncing your activity across every screen you own. Entering your email for a simple 10% discount serves a specific legal function. Under the latest FTC standards, that single action establishes an explicitly authenticated account with the business. The boundary between casually reading a website and actively logging into a platform disappears. You are no longer just a visitor. You are a permanent, tracked user stored securely in a massive corporate database. Anonymous web browsing has been replaced by a system of explicit identification. The pop-up blocking your screen marks the exact moment your identity becomes the price of admission.